Welcome to the Dr. Erin Show. May you live your truth. Live from Los Angeles, we come together each day to know the truth, live on spiritual principle, and align with universal law. We also come together as a community in Soulciété. We are committed to being the #1 spiritual community. We focus on enlightenment, entrepreneurship, and empowerment. We truly believe that when somebody awakens, they have a gift and message to bring to the world. And our mission is to awaken 1 billion people. And how we are going to do that and how we are doing that is by developing world-class spiritual leaders. And so today we are going to talk about what I feel is probably one of the most important things to me in my life, which is my daily spiritual practice. And I want to help you create your daily spiritual practice. It's fascinating because when people talk about their daily spiritual practice, they talk about what their morning routine is, what their evening routine is in a perspective of their daily spiritual practice. But we're going to come from a perspective of what is your life? Your life is your daily spiritual practice. Who are you being every moment of the day in the 4 areas of your life, in your love and relationships, in your career, with your career and money, with your health and vitality, and with your creative expression? I know that every single breath you take has an intention behind it, because where we're using our mind informs our subconscious mind and informs universal mind and reflects back. All of life is the grand mirror of what we're practicing, what we are, who we're being, what our intentions are, and our ways of life. So Emma Curtis Hopkins said, "The world will persist in exhibiting before you what you persist in affirming the world is." Let me read that again. The world will persist in exhibiting for you what you persist in affirming the world is. How you see life is how it has to reflect back. Because what you're focusing on energizes those thoughts, those beliefs, and it has to inform that and see through that filter and filter back more and more and more. So how are you affirming life? And that is really your ultimate daily spiritual practice. What do you believe about life? And that is what has to be reflected back. So I've had many mentors in my life, everything from different authors I've read to different people I've studied under. One of my greatest mentors is a gentleman that I met some years back. It was 3 years before he transitioned. And he's a magical man. He wasn't a big name out there in the field, but he had such great wisdom and became such a big mentor in my life. He is in my heart every day. John, I love you. And he was like a grandpa to me. Probably the most loving man, the most loving human man I'd ever experienced in my entire life. And I witnessed him in his transition for 2 weeks as he had decided to go after having bone cancer. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life, and making me realize how amazing this life is and how transient it really is. We are immortal spiritual beings, and we are very much human in this existence, in this persona. And so he taught me so many things. And so he'd have these great, amazing stories that would have me laugh. But one of the stories that always reminded me of him is a story he told me about relating to the values of practice, of a daily spiritual practice. And I don't know if this story is true or not, but he said that he told this great story about a lady who was in New York, and she was on her way to Carnegie Hall for a concert, and she was running late, and she didn't know where to go, and she kept going around these blocks because she knew it was right within a block or two, and she didn't have directions, and she was running late, and she was starting to get really frazzled, and she saw this gentleman getting into this taxi, and she said, Sir, do you know where Carnegie Hall is?" And she didn't realize that it was singer Luciano Pavarotti. And he kind of turned to her with a real elegant stance and kind of calmed her down, just even with the way his presence. She said, "Excuse me, sir, do you know how to get to Carnegie Hall?" And he replied with a great peace and total, a total air about him. He said, "Practice, practice, practice." And I giggled as my mentor told me this, because he just had this way of telling stories that had everything we ever needed to know in it. The point is that if you want to get to Carnegie Hall, if you want to get to a life that you love, if you want to get to powerful, amazing relationships, if you want to become the entrepreneur and have a multi 6-figure or 7-figure plus business, if you want to have incredible vibration and be one with divine, if you want to be expressed and be the ultimate self, the ultimate mother, husband, friend, daughter, whatever that is, practice, practice, practice. Because we're dealing with something. We're dealing with our old habits. We're dealing with our old lineage. We're dealing with all these things. And the only way we move past it, of course, is dealing with trauma and doing our inner work and all this stuff with the truth triangle. We birth the true power and your specific core values, and we birth your purpose and calling. But once you really know this truth, you got to live the truth. And how do you do that? You got to do it via your daily spiritual practice. Practice, practice, practice. We know this. We know that we create new neurons and pathways, and we inform the universal law, and we inform our subconscious mind, and we develop these habits and rituals so that it becomes automated. Imagine if everything in your life was just automated. You were tapped into divine. You were extraordinary. You were intentional. You developed your skill set and your mindset and everything, and it became automated. Imagine that everything was really easy. Your relationships flowed because you had developed these skills and this mindset around it that had everyone thrive. Imagine how amazing and what you could actually create in your life instead of dealing with drama and chaos and discord. You'd be freed up to use so much more energy to create a life that you love. And that is what a daily spiritual practice is really for, to create the habits and rituals and become automated in being an extraordinary human being. So I can't imagine how much Pavarotti had to practice to master his craft. He was one of the most famous Italian singers ever. And the story makes the case that even the greatest artists must practice. What are you practicing? What is your daily practice? What is your daily spiritual practice? And of course, we want to do meditation and mindfulness and using your, language with intention, visioning, having intuition, affirmative prayer and affirmations and having practices. That's really important. But the question for you that I have for you is, what are you practicing every minute of every day? What are your practices in the 4 areas of your life? What are your principles, and who do you show up in your practices in the realm of your relationships? Who are you in your practices in the realm of money and creating financial freedom and passive income and creating a career that you love? It's in alignment with your purpose and calling. Who are you in the realm of health? What are your daily practices in the realm of your meals? What are you putting in your body? And what are your practices in the realm of being expressed in all areas of your life, in your sexuality and your artistry in all the areas? Who are you? You may choose to create an extraordinary morning and evening ritual as well. For years I used to have this walk-in closet, and I had a place that I'd go in for meditation in the morning, evening, and sometimes I'd spend hours upon hours in a day in that room doing my meditation, my practice, and I cherish that time so much. At this chapter of my life, I don't do as much of that intensive work. It's more trickled into embodiment for me. For me, my practice is really in every breath that I take out there, and I can meditate while I'm driving because you get to a place where you can just go past the mind and go to divine straight away. So let's ask ourselves, and I ask that, you write this down today, maybe take some time today. Who are you being in the realm of those 4 areas of your life? So let's take a look at, who do you want to be in with your money and career? If the goal is to be powerful and productive and living in alignment with your purpose and calling in that area, what are the practices? What are your action that you're taking around it? So allowing the abundance to always stay in abundance mentality instead of scarcity mentality, always bringing value instead of asking what you can get out of people, asking how you can serve and bring value. What are these core principles? Are you investing in assets instead of liabilities? Are you embodying the mindset it takes to fulfill upon your dreams? Are you taking bold action? Do you live out of creativity instead of fear? Things like that. What are your practices? And what are you doing daily to allow that to happen? Are you releasing the limiting beliefs around money and letting yourself just live in the possibility, right? Let's take a look at love and relationships. What is your goal in love and relationships? Is it peace and deep intimacy and connection? Maybe it's creating a powerful family. I don't know what that is for you, but what is your intention? What is your intention around that? And what are you doing every day, every way in your daily spiritual practice all day long to align with that? Are you practicing not making people wrong, but focusing on their divinity and their beauty and the miracle that they are? Are you, focusing on developing and investing time in the people that you really care about? What are these practices? Who are you being in the realm of a relationship? And are you placing boundaries on relationships that get you upset? Are you having profound conversations and clear communication with people? That's a daily spiritual practice. Getting in touch with your emotions and saying, is this just something that's projecting from my past? Or is something that feels out of line for me and I really need to actually communicate and figure this out? What are your practices? Who do you desire to be in your love and relationships in that realm of your area of your life? Next, we have the third area of life, health and wellness. If the goal is high energy and radiance, what are you doing? What's your daily spiritual practice around this? Are you having time for self-care? Are you doing some exercise? Are you eating whole foods? Are you getting proper sleep? Are these part of your daily spiritual practices? These are the rituals and the habits that we build in order to live alignment with and automate it. So you have to think about it. So you have to be on a diet, right? It just becomes natural. This is what you do. And then lastly, your purpose and calling or your creative expression. Are you being expressed every day? Are you taking time to just be creative without having to have money attached to it necessarily? Are you allowing yourself to be expressed, intimately and with friendships and all this stuff? What's your expression? What's your purpose and calling? How's this turning into your daily spiritual practice? And so on this note, I know perfection of you creating what is your daily spiritual practice, moving past the dogma of, say, religions. What works for you? Do the research, find what works for you, try things out, adjust it. But I would highly, highly recommend creating principles that you live by all day long. Your daily spiritual practice is all day long. It's not just 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, okay? Part of my daily spiritual practice is always beginning every meeting with an invocation, setting the intention with a prayer so that I get my mind right and know what I'm really here to do. So it helps get clear for everyone. And I also end with benedictions. I also end a lot of meetings and ceremony with what I call the promise. So I'm going to read this right now as we end this podcast. The promise. I promise to be still and know the truth. I promise to only speak the truth of abundant health, happiness, prosperity, and love. I promise to be one with the all so that nothing can disturb my peace of mind. I promise to stand for truth that everyone is divine. I promise to focus on the positive and optimistic side of life and circumstances. I promise to think only of divine, to work only for divine, and to expect divinity. I promise to give a gift wherever I go, to whomever I encounter. I promise to dedicate an abundant amount of energy to the expanding of my consciousness. I promise to declare the truth and release all worry, anger, hurt, and fear. I promise to focus on happiness, to release my troubles, and to stop complaining. I promise to have faith that the universe is working at all points in time for the highest good. I promise to allow these truths through my daily spiritual practice and connection with Source. I promise to vibrantly live the truth today and every day. May you guys have a beautiful day, and may you create a daily spiritual practice that has you living a life beyond your wildest dream. May you live your truth. Thanks again for tuning in to Dr. Erin and Soulciété podcast. I'd like to invite you to write a review on iTunes. Also, I have a free gift for you, a money meditation and worksheet, which you can find at soulciété.com. That's www.soulciete.com. Or 30 guided meditations at drerin.tv. That's www.drerin.tv. We also hold monthly Soulciété events that are all about transformation and building extraordinary community. You can also watch me live daily on goodmorninglalaland.com or Instagram at drerin.tv. Grab your free manifestation masterclass with the purchase of my international best-selling book, Awakening, a 40-day guide to unleashing your spiritual powers, life purpose, and manifesting your dreams at erinfallhaskell.com/awakening book.